Patrick at Pals, and I'm here with Jim on our 70 Torino. Jim, you're modifying the steering column and the mast today. What did you find out that's different from what the manufacturer says to what you really had to do?
The manufacturer said that the vehicle runs on these, connects the steering column to the steering wheel, or box, sorry. It's what they call rag joint. This normally comes out of the bottom of the steering column with this on it. And that couples to this, what they call a rag joint on the steering box.
Okay.
The new Borgeson steering box sits back further about 3.5 inches.
Mm-hmm.
So what that would end up doing is putting this up into the firewall. So what has to be done is normally you got to shorten this shaft like they in one of our previous videos where they watched me cut the shaft off, cut this and this end off and modify the column to make room for the rag joint.
Okay.
However, when you do that, that would put this directly in the car about like that, which would put it inside the car where normally you've got a bracket that holds around here and holds this end on.
A collar to hold it both places. And you also have a rubber boot that goes over the top of that, right?
And the rubber boot would mean they'd have to have a big hole in the firewall and there'd be almost no way to seal it.
Mm-hmm.
Plus it's down there where your brake pedal goes.
Okay.
After some looking around and configuring things, I figured out a different way to do it where it won't entail actually altering the steering column. The steering column has a very large hole in here and it's just open. Well, where that goes, what I can do is like some of the older vehicles, the shaft here that goes on the steering column used to be mounted as part of the steering box. So what I can do with this is just run it like the old school guys used to do, where the cars originally had a solid rod. Seeing this is a unibody and it's not going to flex anyway, I can put a coupler on this end that'll fit on the end of that steering box and mount this directly to the steering box
with a coupler and eliminate the rag joint.
And eliminate the rag joint, which would mean I could put all this and rerun this. This is for the steering lock. After measuring everything and putting it together this way, I found that I didn't even really need to alter the column, but just the center section, the actual steering shaft.
So there's several different things that they did in the early 70s. This is a 1970 model. First thing, they had a collapsible steering mast so that on impact it would collapse. The other thing is this shaft used to be full steel all the way down, and now at the top it's hollow up here, right?
Yeah, this is collapsible as well.
So it collapses.
Actually makes it nice for modification too, so it gives me room to
So this is where it collapses right here.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's for safety, and it also aids you to modify it because you can adjust the length without cutting it.
Yeah. It gives me much more decision on to make sure that I don't mess it up as much.
So the manufacturer Borgeson says that you're going to need to cut the mast. You found that by eliminating a rag joint and putting in a coupler, you can keep the mast the same height. Everything will seal up. It's a much better situation.
Yep.
It's all trial and error, and it's all engineering. And when we find these things out, of course, we'll contact the manufacturer and tell them what we found so that they can improve their product. If you've got a 70 Torino and you want power steering in a steering box instead of steering assist, bring it to Pals. See you soon.